What's up, guys? Kevin Zellman here, your resident voice super fan. Hopefully you guys are too if you're watching this. So the battle rounds, they are completed. They are done. We're off to the knockouts. It was a crazy 2 weeks of the battles for sure. We just got off of the conference call with all of the advancing artists. So we got to ask them their thoughts on their performance, opinions, literally anything that was going through their mind prior to them walking up on that stage and getting the verdict. So we're going to start this episode off with Team Blake. He had Blind Joe, I want to emphasize that better, Blind Joe versus Blaine Mitchell. Blaine, he's actually a former athlete, which I thought was really interesting. They sang Old Time Rock and Roll. And Gwen actually pointed this out, which I didn't think about this. During the performance, since Joe is blind, he's not accessible to the stage. He has to stay in his chair and play his instrument. So Blaine, he's more like a rock country type of person, which I really like. And he had to make up for the stage presence for Blind Joe and for himself. So he kind of had to do double duty there. And he said that that alone is a lot of pressure, but then doing this for the voice, Gwen said doing this for the voice and getting chosen and a winner and steal and all that stuff, that it's a lot of pressure for one person to do that's so green in what they're doing. Blind Joe ended up winning the battle. But Adam Levine, he used his last steal on Blaine Mitchell. So Blaine is now a part of Team Adam, which I was excited that he is still in the competition. So in the conference call, Joe was saying that he felt a lot more confident in the battle than the blinds because he's had time to work with Blake, he's had time to work with Blaine, so he's comfortable with the person he's with on stage. And he loved working with Blaine. They all said that they loved working with their battle partner. Joe is actually, I didn't think about this, I just kind of went with it, but they asked him, someone on the conference call asked how Blind Joe got his nickname Blind Joe. And I had to write this down because I wanted to say it exactly how he did. And he said that he's been called Blind Joe for his whole life. In class, one of the classes he was in, there were a few Joes. And so the teacher was trying to figure out a way on how to differentiate the few Joes. And he's like, well, I'm blind, so I can be Blind Joe, and it just stuck, and he's now called Blind Joe. No one has really dwelled on the fact that he is blind, but sometimes it bothers him. Sometimes he says like he does get down in the dumps, but in this industry, being blind is an asset to him. That's what sets him apart from everyone else. You have to have that one thing that's going to make you stand out and be remembered, and so I mean, I remembered Blind Joe's audition because he's blind. We tend to remember him. And Blaine was saying that he just tried to have the most fun with the entire battle performance. He did not feel like an underdog because they both had to overcome a lot of challenges, especially Blind Joe, obviously. Blaine had no idea that Adam had used his last steal on him. He felt really honored. He had no idea where the coaches stood with the steals, because when you're backstage, you hear people are being stolen, you hear all this stuff, but you don't really know where everyone lies. And it was hard for him to see, like, who was getting stolen, who was being sent home, because he knew, like, alright, well, like, X amount of steals are chosen, or are used, we don't know how many were used before, so it's a crapshoot. You don't really know going into it what you can expect. So then also on Team Blake, we had Emily Ann Roberts versus Morgan Fraser. And they sang I'm That Kind of Girl. And they're, first of all, they're so much alike. They're both country, they're both cute, they're both blonde, both girls. They have a lot going for them. Blake, when he was giving his critiques on the performance, he actually compared Morgan to Carrie Underwood, which, I mean, that's like a huge compliment right there, because Carrie is basically, I mean, the queen of the country world, literally. So during that battle, Emily ended up winning the battle. But Pharrell used his last steal, and it was the last steal of the blind auditions on Morgan. And here, I thought it should have been reversed. I thought Morgan should have been the one to stay on Team Blake rather than Emily Ann, just because I do feel like I do feel that Morgan is a more seasoned performer and vocalist because she does have a bigger voice than Emily. But that's just my opinion. So tweet me at Kevin Zellman. Tell me what you think about that. I want to hear from you guys. Emily, she was saying Morgan is a lot more experienced than she is, and that she did actually learn a lot from Morgan, not only through the battles, just from the whole experience, because, I mean, it was a challenge to go up against her, so learning from her, she took all of that in, she was a sponge there, and just tried to use all of that during the performance. They were asked if they were surprised that they were paired together, and Morgan said that she and Emily didn't meet until after the blinds. They saw each other around the hotel, around the soundstage before they were filming, but they never really talked to her. And the one time they did talk, Morgan said, Emily, I'm gonna bet you we will be paired during the battles. And obviously, she ended up right, so hopefully she bet a lot of money on that one, because she could have, and she could have won a lot of money. So they weren't like that surprised they were paired against each other. But she just wanted to make the performance the best it could be. She wanted both of them to go through so bad, meaning Morgan wanted she and Emily to get through. Hopefully someone would get stolen so they could continue this process together. And obviously that did happen, so they were really excited. Emily, in response to the same question, they were surprised that they were paired together, she said it was not a huge shock they were paired together. Both sing country, both blonde, blah, blah, blah. Basically just what I said at the beginning. They did talk about it, as I said. And the main focus, she said also, is they just wanted to make it a good performance, because if they were both happy about what they did on stage, then they're going to be happy afterwards with the outcome. So, I mean, they should both be very happy now since they are still in the competition. Alright guys, so that is Team Blake. We have all the other battle coaches, battle pairings up on Hollywood Junket on YouTube. Make sure you check those out. Tweet me at Kevin Zellman, at Hollywood Junket. Tweet us also. We will answer all the questions, comments, opinions. We do want to hear from you, so definitely tweet us. We'll be back here next week for the knockouts, where Rihanna is the advisor for all of the coaches. I'm super stoked. But yeah, so until then, we'll see you guys later.